You're listening to Keith Engle, the host of TGI Sports Talk on the National Streaming Sports Broadcast. National Streaming Sports is brought to you in part by BetUs.com, designed for true fans. NFL odds, Week 1 and futures, college football odds, including Heisman Trophy favorites and playoff odds, NBA odds, division winners and playoffs, Major League Baseball playoff and World Series odds, National Hockey League Conference playoffs, and Stanley Cup odds, and boxing rankings. Betting opportunities include versus the spread and outright winners. Also, during the game, use our link on our website, nessp.info, the Bet Us Opportunities webpage, for a 125% bonus on your first 3 deposits. Must be 21 years old, and remember, bet responsibly.
Good morning, everybody. Keith Engle here for the TGI Sports Talk Sunday Stream of Consciousness. Hope everybody's having a great day today. We're doing okay. It's getting closer to fall. We're in the 70s today. Well, it's about 50 right now, but welcome everybody into fall. Touch today is fall. So welcome to fall. College football takes the main stage. Pro football right with it. Major League Baseball races getting down, and I want to welcome everybody. We'll get some of the topics that I want to throw out there, but it's your show, so bring what you got. I got a couple mea culpas, I think, this week. Which I seem to have every week lately, because we do admit our mistakes on this show, unlike some other sports talk shows who those tapes get lost. Mike Francesa, some of you know him, some of you don't. Welcome everybody watching on TGI Sports Talk, Facebook and YouTube platforms today. Share your comments, enjoy. We're on National Streaming Sports Roku channel live. Get to the Roku app and download that channel for free. Want to say a quick shout out to Ralph Williams at RW Media. Ralph does some great stuff. Most top of mind to me is the Sports Corner that he does every Tuesday from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern with Smoke and Jim Frazier, Facebook, YouTube, and some radio presence, which I still don't have the details on, and my bad. And some of the groups that support us, we like to give shout outs to, like John Gonzalez, who often comes in and participates in this show and some others at the Sports Authorities. He does great work over there. Greg Rawlings does great work at America's Pastime, the Love for Baseball. Lots of former major leaguers over there, former umpires, former coaches. The group at Let's Talk Sports, Tanner D in the group, great content there. Bottom Line Sports, Flo and the gang. They do a great podcast too. Check them out. And also Golf Buds, Sports of All Sorts with Ken Krause. And a special thanks, as our crowd is growing here. I should always check to make sure people can hear me, I suppose, because yeah, we did. I'll get to your comments here in a second. Special thanks to Gary McKillips. I apologize so much, Gary, for when I introduced him Friday. All week I said, don't say McPhillips. I kept saying McPhillips. And I said it when he came in the room, and I apologize. And I hope it's the only time I did it. But Gary does some great stuff with independent broadcasting, if you will, interviews, game recaps. He does a podcast of his own, and great stuff. We talked about, and maybe we can get into it with Rick a little bit today, as his brother's coming up for induction into the National Semi-Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton. We talked about his time here in the upstate New York, calling the Glove City Colonial games. Great games. Empire Football League was really, really good at that time. And semi-pro football was really good compared, I think, to what's out there today. So some topics to get into. We'll get into the college football, some surprises. K-State gets killed. Michigan surprises USC at home. Is it a surprise? I don't know. Heupel gets some revenge at Oklahoma. We can jump into that. Arch Manning played okay. I mean, again, this is not a quarterback controversy. Ewers is the quarterback. Ole Miss continues to roll. I've got a bunch of stories here. Sonny Dykes gets tossed. First Division I coach to get tossed since they put new unsportsmanlike rules into place in 2016. Miami rolls again in an ugly game, by the way. This game, the third quarter seemed to take about an hour and a half. Injuries, penalties, incomplete passes. Oh, my God. But Cam Ward was really good. Plus, I got a bunch of other stuff we can get into. The military academies both win yesterday. Navy rolls over Memphis, who might have been, well, wasn't, not might have been, was probably the most highly touted. I said was, and then I said probably again, by the way. The most highly touted group of 5 school from the AAC. That's good news for NIU that Memphis goes down. Still some other people in play there. And Army rolls over Rice. Baseball, the White Sox on their way to 121 losses. They're up to 119. It's 7 games to go. The Nats demote C.J. Abrams for going out and partying. Lindor might be back. I want to talk about the 50-50. It's 50-50. Great accomplishments by Ohtani. And I think Danny Fuller's with us, so we'll get his take on this too. The question kind of came up the other day. Is 50-50 for and out of a DH more impressive than 40-70 and a really good glove in the outfield that Acuna did last year? I'm not so sure. It's a great accomplishment, but Acuna's accomplishment might have been better. We got a tight race for the wild card in both the National League and American League, which we can jump into. And of course, we got football. Hall of Fame nominations out yesterday, 167 names. Are there too many people in the NFL Hall of Fame? We'll look at some of the better names maybe that are in here if we get a chance, or you guys want to get into that. Who are the Jets? Are the Jets the team we saw? Listen, I know the Patriots aren't very good, but sometimes you get made to look really worse than you are by a team playing great. And the Jets played great. I'm not saying the Patriots are already good, by the way. But the Jets are not bad like we saw them against the 49ers. I said relax. Nobody played the preseason. And are they as good as what we saw Thursday night? And listen, I don't love the Jets. I don't love Aaron Rodgers. But when I see good football, I'm going to point it out to you. And don't let Drake May play behind that offensive line, please. You're going to ruin his career. Love is close to coming back. Bryce Young benched for Andy Dalton, the Red Rifle. Is that the nickname? And possibly going to be traded. So let's get to you guys and let's get on with the comments. Who's here? We have to stop meeting like this. Saw Drew yesterday at my granddaughter's second birthday party. We had a good time. A good time was had by all. Beautiful, beautiful day it turned out to be. And she enjoyed herself immensely, which is the most important thing. So good to see you again this morning, Drew. Boston Paul, good morning. I don't know if I gave you great advice on that quarter. Oh, Cam Rising didn't play. How'd the kid you were going to play yesterday over this K-State quarterback, Avery Johnson? How did the other guy do? Did we give you bad advice? I only confirmed your pick, just to be clear. Paul was 2-8 in college picks. We'll look at him I'll look at that quickly as well. Somehow I lost maybe we will, maybe we won't. Good morning again, Danny Fuller. Been traveling out east here with the Baltimore, went to some Baltimore Tiger games. Tigers playing really good baseball, by the way. Tough loss, though, puts them an important game behind. They're a half game out, but a game in a loss column. You can't make up losses. That race between Minnesota, the Royals even, and the Tigers will be one of the stories of this last week of baseball. This time next week, we'll be looking at the last game of the regular season. Very hard to believe. Speaking of the Royals, what did you say here, by the way? Sorry, I didn't read your... Well, they haven't won yet, but, if they blow a 5-game lead with... is it a 5-game lead? I think it is, right? Had a big win yesterday. I didn't see what the Orioles did, but I think... I think the Yankees are up 5. Yeah, 5-game lead with 7 to play. If you lose that, that's bad. We've seen crazy things happen. Speaking of the Speaking of the Orioles, there's JB, a resident Oriole fan, and Kenny Gifford, if he's with us. Kenny's a big Oriole fan as well. And JB does a wonderful podcast called, as you can see here, the Back It Up Binge podcast, which you can catch on YouTube. Also post some great videos, some old-time games and stuff. Great job, JB. Chris Fgrave is back with us. Chris has had some intermediate internet issues. I know you were. I think you said you were moving and such. Hopefully, you have gotten yourself moved and you're doing doing much better as far as amenities like internet. Here's a humdinger. Who knew that Jose De Jesus threw 95 as far back as the 1980s? That's pretty fast for that era. 95 and up was, it isn't like today where just like go out and throw 100 for as long as you can and we'll get you out of the game. So yeah, there was a few guys in the 80s. I mean, Roger Clemens was getting it up close to 100 at his peak and at his peak. And then 20 years later, his second peak due to, you know what, but Jose De Jesus, another name from the past. 50-50 never done in history, just amazing. I agree 100%. But as I look at, again, I'm not taking anything away from Ohtani's accomplishment. It's tremendous. He's going to win the MVP. But, and I said if Lindor had not gotten hurt, I think Lindor would have gotten some MVP votes. It's doubtful that he would have won it. But when you contribute to all phases of the game, and by the way, again, this is going to sound like I'm taking something away and want to put an asterisk up there. Let's not forget the stolen base rules, not the stolen base rules, but the rules about throwing to first base and the bases being bigger. The pitch clock as well, which I mentioned Friday, we don't even think about, but the pitch clock plays into the stolen bases as well and the success of such. To me, that diminishes that just a little bit because there's no doubt it's easier to steal bases today than it's ever been in the history of professional baseball. But again, it's a great accomplishment. If this had happened last year or Acuna hadn't gotten hurt, and let's just say his 40-70 and really good defense was in play, and the Braves were a winning football team. How about a baseball team? I think it would be an interesting comparison to see which was the better, because nobody ever done 40-70 either, by the way, before Acuna did it. And I just think there's a conversation to be had there. I'm not diminishing either thing. It's both of those accomplishments are tremendous. And Ohtani's a great player, but let's not put him up there with Ruth and Garrick and again, he's a great player, but he has yet to put a glove on except when he's pitching. Not a very complete player. Now, if he comes back and he pitches well for 5, 6, 7 years, whatever, let's not talk about greatest ever. And I'm not saying you are, Danny, but there are people out there. Again, we are so in the moment reactionaries, man. CA, good to have you with us, buddy. You mentioned some hectic circumstances going on for you this morning on the big football show. Hope everything's going okay. Rick Sherlock, good morning. I mentioned Rick. Do you have a date, by the way, when Bobby's going into the Hall of Fame? We're all curious. And by the way, I'm still pushing the grassroots campaign for John Doviak to get his rightful place in the Semi-Pro Football Hall of Fame, by the way. He says his son was at the game and the Jet fans think they're going to the Super Bowl and Rodgers is the MVP. Again, to my earlier comments, we're all reactionary, right? There's recency bias in every, and I'm the same way. But I picked the Jets to get to the playoffs. I didn't pick them to win the Super Bowl stupidly like I did last year. But this is a good football team. You saw the defense play very well, very disruptive. Again, they didn't play a good football team. But they came back. Here's the thing. Good football teams, they need to beat the teams they're supposed to beat. Right? And then, you split with the teams that are kind of a toss-up, and you're a playoff team, and you hopefully get better as the season goes on. Those are the teams that win the Super Bowl. Teams that peak at the right time. And listen, for all you people out there ripping the Kansas City Chiefs, I should have put that in my opening comments from last week's games. Wake up and shut up. I listened to this for 20 years with the Patriots. The league doesn't care whether the Chiefs win or not. They don't care whether Patrick Mahomes wins or not. The last play, I'm sorry, not the last play, but the play that set up their winning field goal was pass interference, guys. No matter how you want to look at it, no matter how you want to portray this as, the league is looking out for the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes again. Just shut up. I mean, good grief. I listened to this crap for 20 years. 20 years. Get better. Don't let yourself get beat by the refs. I'll continue to tell you that. Jeez, good grief. Anyway, don't know what set me off there, but fantasy baseball winding down. Rick and Keith fighting it out not to finish in last place. I'll blow it today, Rick. You're a shoo-in. My fantasy baseball season kind of set the tone for my early season wagering. We've not had a good first 2 weeks. 3 weeks in the cigar box. We did get 2 out of 3 yesterday. Let's see. So we're fighting it out for last place or a chance to finish fifth. I told Drew yesterday, I'm a second place is the first loser kind of guy. So yeah, I'm trying. It's not like I'm not trying, but I'm rooting for Drew to win. He worked all season to finish second and make the playoffs, which he will immediately be bounced out of today. Sorry, Drew. I was rooting for you. That's probably what cost you. I'm on a bad run as I've talked about it. And Boston. You should hate the Stankies, and I hate the Red Sox. Now, I am not an irrational hater, right? And hate's probably just a too strong a word. I dislike the Red Sox. I dislike the Jets. I strongly dislike the Giants for obvious reasons. But I respect teams when they beat me. That's part of the problem, right? When people, and not you, Paul, so don't take this as a direct comment or a reply to your comment. It goes back to my thing about the Chiefs and the Patriots before them. We just don't like teams that are good. Great. We don't like teams that are great. We want to find reasons they're winning other than the fact that they're just really good. And I never understand this logic, especially if it's teams we don't like. I'll tell you what, when the Giants beat the Patriots twice in the Super Bowl, I gave them all the props in the world because that day they were a better team. When the Red Sox came back and defeated the Yankees after being down 3-0 in 2004, worst 7 days of my life. But outside of those Patriot Giant Sundays, but as far as a week goes, that was one of the worst weeks ever. But you know what? Props to you guys. You got to give props where they're due. Michael Gott's with us. Good to have you with us, Michael. I know Michael popped into the MLB update on Friday. He's in a little bit earlier today. Well, I'll tell you, we're still live in a survivor pool. It's now $120,000, by the way, and I'm sure it'll go up today because first 2 weeks you can buy back in for twice the entry fee. Still alive. There were 650-ish entries to start before buybacks. And as of last week, maybe it was 650 with buybacks. There was 189 left after last week. 189. 650, 2 weeks in the survivor pool. We're surviving. You can't buy back after this week. So I'm not sure how many will be in there. Well, I'll update you on our progress. Every week, it's not easy picking There's not like a team that stands out. You want to pick against the Panthers. The problem is you pick against a team like the Panthers and everybody else is there too. So you want to have you want to find a team that really has a great chance to win, obviously, and not everybody or, 3/4 of the pool beyond, because then you get to root for that big upset as well. And I would like to say my Patriots, the first week, knocked about 220 people out of that pool. Paul says, let me tell you guys something. Pitching, fielding, easy. Pitch, fielding, I need, there he goes. Oh, he meant to say fielding as a pitcher is not easy. No, I didn't say it was. But this year he hasn't put a glove on. And I again, fielding your position is important. Again, DHs are important to teams' success. I don't even think. I mean, if he continued to play DH the rest of his career, I guess he would probably end up the greatest DH of all time. Edgar Martinez is still the greatest DH of all time in my mind. Yeah, sorry about Big Papi, but I think Edgar is better. Always second place is the last loser. Always. It's the first loser. You just finished second to the loser or the winner. Everybody's a loser if you didn't win. I'm not a participation trophy kind of guy, as you might have found out from watching my shows. Although John DeLon thinks I am, because I advocate for a 12-team playoff, actually a 16-team playoff. Now I'm putting Basement Bob back into the conversation, but yeah, I'm just, again, it's fine. I will do my best. Nothing to bag about this under the circumstances. The thing is, you won't even finish fifth according to the way the rules are written. That's the thing. I finished last amongst 8 teams. Hell, I finished last amongst 12 teams in another league. But I've got a chance to finish fifth now. Well, those are the rules, so I'll try. Papi, nah, great player. How come he gets a pass? It's a great question too. How does Papi get a pass on the steroid issue? I just don't get it. Great player. I'm not saying he wasn't. But the same whispers were there as there were for everybody else that was great in that era. Twins got rid of him because he was not meeting his potential. And listen, he probably got better hitting, coaching on hitting when he got to Boston. But, Papi gets a little pass here. He's in the Hall of Fame where other guys are not even being considered. It's a whole topic for whatever. Royals worked all season to surprise people and compete for the playoffs, only to be folding at the end of the season and risk losing it to the Tigers or the fading Twins. I think the Twins or the Royals go home. I think the Tigers keep this rolling. Again, what did they do yesterday? They got to win. They lost, I think, Friday night, and now they've got that 7 games to go. That loss column is the one you got to watch. Wins, yeah, you got to win more games, but you can't make up losses. So once you're behind in a loss column, it makes it so much harder. And right now they trail both the Royals and the Twins by actually the Twins by, I'm sorry, the Orioles by, boy, the Royals by a full game and the Twins by half a game, but they're behind in a loss column to 1 to both. Makes it tough. What did DeGrom do Friday night? What did DeGrom do? I mean, we talk about, this is, God. And I wish Alan were popping into the show more again, because I want to know, and he probably, as a Ranger fan, it's not like I'm sorry. And again, this will sound condescending and elitist, I guess. It's not like the Yankees or the Dodgers or the Cardinals, teams that have won many World Series over the years. The Rangers never won anything. And I want to know, kinda, does everything they did and signing DeGrom, which is probably hurting them now, and I said it would hurt them in the future because this isn't a team with unlimited resources. They signed him to a contract that he was never going to stay healthy for. Is all that worth it if you don't win again for 20 more years? Was it worth to get that one World Series? Probably yes. I want to see the box score from, damn it. Why don't I have, I clicked on Seattle. I'm trying to find the game from Friday night. I want to see how DeGrom did. Somebody's probably telling me right now as we speak, right? Here we go, 8-2. They lost. I'm going to assume he got hammered. Where's a box score? Give me a box score. Box score. I think this was easier when I had a paper in front of me. DeGrom, 3 innings. Oh, yeah, he pitched 3 innings, 3 hits, 1 run, 5 strikeouts. Kept him very, again, he's not pitching much, obviously. I said the Rangers would pay for years for this contract. I think Scherzer's about done. Hall of Famer. Have to look at his numbers, but probably. It's not just numbers either. We just get wrapped up in numbers, right? Danny personally never liked the DH, was disappointed when the NL. Listen, as an American League fan, I'm disappointed that the NL went with it as well. It's funny, I'm obviously a huge Yankee fan, but I like National League. I did like National League Baseball better always because there was more strategy in the game. There was, pitchers had to hit. Beanball wars were a little different, which I'm okay with, as long as pitchers come to hit up the hit. So Danny was disappointed when the NL bought into it. That was a players union pushing that as well, by the way. More jobs. And now more pitchers get hurt than ever before in baseball. Baseball started with 9 players on the field hit. I don't disagree. I personally rather, it's never happening. I'd personally rather see the DH go away. I mean, 1973, there was a good reason for it, probably, because the baseball was in trouble, especially American League Baseball. Teams weren't scoring runs because pitchers were good then. Pitchers pitched, they actually completed, 15, 20, 25 games a year. Pitchers were really good, and they were better than the hitters. And the American League adopted that because they wanted to get more offense in the game. And originally, we talked about this on the Mac and Jack show Friday. You didn't see young guys like Ohtani and younger kids coming up in the minors or DHs. Never played a field in the minors. You saw aging veterans, which was also good for baseball because it kept some of these guys like Henry Aaron, Orlando Cepeda, who was maybe the first great DH. Great DH, 22 homers and 80 RBIs or something that first year. Actually, I just read a book about the 1973 season, which was really interesting, by the way. So anyway, the DH, but I would like to see it go away. It was a 1-year experiment that they thought was worth continuing, and I'd rather see baseball go back to what it was, but it's never going to happen. I mean, that's not even the biggest thing that I'd like to see change now. I mean, this is well documented stuff. There's DeGrom's numbers again. Very good. 100 and what was his contract? 5 years, $164 million, something like that. And what have they gotten out of him? 12 games? Maybe I said that would happen. Rick, yes, on all Yes, on all. I like the Rams. Trust me, as a Viking fan. Yes, on all. In like with the Rams. I'm trying to remember what that could be related to. Rick, help me out. Michael says, I think Michael was one of our UK guys. I forgot about that. On your comments on baseball losing its tradition, I'm a massive cricket fan into traditional cricket, UK, which they've started to play a little bit here, I think. And remind me, Michael, you're in the UK, if I'm not mistaken. And he says they've spoiled the game by adding more formats and losing its rich history like baseball. And it's sad, no? I mean, people will jump on me and beat me up for not being flexible and changing with the times. Why does everything have to change? Why does everything have to change? Go watch Field of Dreams and listen to that James Earl Jones, Terrence Mann speech about baseball. Through all the years and all the changes in society in this country, baseball rolled on. I'm paraphrasing, obviously. It still makes the hair on the back of my neck stand up. And when that movie came out, I still felt that way. But now, I mean, I love the game, and some nights it feels like baseball. Other nights it feels like, I don't know, like I'm watching a sport I'm not even familiar with. And it's kind of sad. Mariners not out of it. Game and a half back is correct, despite never bothering to walk up to the plate with a bat. They should maybe take a piano leg or something up. I don't know if you remember the story. I think it was against Nolan Ryan. That's when Ryan was with the Angels and had thrown a couple no-hitters, and I think he might have struck out, I don't know, 17, 18 Tigers that day, and he went up to the plate with a like a dining room table leg or something. Norm Cash. There were characters in baseball then. Now the characters are the guys that flip bats and, stand at home plate and turn doubles into singles and triples into doubles or outs. Rangers going all in on. Oh, yeah, they're talking about the Vikings. So your answer to that was yes on all in, like with the Rams, and trust me as a Vikings fan. Dude, Rams are a great comparison. So Rick could talk about the Rangers. Yes, it's worth it going in. I guess when you're see, and I totally understand that I've been spoiled. Not spoiled as a Yankee fan, as they've got the same number of World Series victories as the Royals in the last, the Royals and the Marlins in the last 21 years. And the Royals been to more World Series. But 27 championships, I'm interested in building something to last here, but I want this team to win. I'm tired of just making the playoffs. So I guess I feel that frustration a little bit. And it's always that. I mean, would you rather win a championship and have your team, and the answer for Rick is yes, and then not be competitive for the next 10 years? Or would you rather the team have a chance to win every single year? Obviously, you'd want to win some championships. I don't know. It's always been an interesting question. Wild card focus is constantly on the Braves and Mets, but the Diamondbacks are still close too. Don't forget, when we talk about the wild card race, let me pull it up here real quick. Getting that number one spot is also important because you don't play those 3 games on the road. So the Padres aren't home free. They've got a 2-game lead on the Diamondbacks and a 3-game lead on the Mets. So while, yes, it's important that the Diamondbacks, Mets, and Braves are fighting for one spot, most likely, Diamondbacks still are trying to get to that number one spot, or the Mets even, because you get to play your games at home. And the same thing in the American League. The Orioles got that locked up. So 4-game lead with 7 to go. They're not blowing that. So that's an important distinction as well. That's why winning a division matters. You get the bye, and some people don't like the bye because you're going to sit around for a week. Now you can get healthy, you can get your pitching lined up, but baseball players are used to playing every day. So there's something to be said for continuing your routine. But you also get healthy, and you also don't have to get in that wild card round and risk losing 3 games on the road and being out, or 2 games on the road and being out. That is a severe. If you're going to have all these teams get in, I mean, definitely they have to play at a huge disadvantage. And at least baseball's done that right. But the Diamondbacks are still close, definitely. Mets were tied with them just as early as Friday, if I'm not mistaken, Drew. And they're a game behind them right now. Not a much difference, though. Second or third doesn't matter. Holding off the Braves is what matters for both those teams, right? Drew's still shocked and impressed by the success of Vogt and Murphy, despite not having any previous managerial experience. We talked about this a bit on Friday. I would, if I'm voting for manager of the year, those 2 guys are my selections. The only other guys I would kind of put in there was Quattro, if I'm saying his name right, from the Royals, potentially, but this swoon at the end of the season, 6 straight losses, not going to play well for him. And maybe AJ Hinch, if this team slides into the playoffs, he might get some votes. But to me, it's got to be Vogt. And again, I suppose the Padres manager split, right? Could have get some votes as well. And maybe the Mets manager as well. I guess I can't totally rule him out here either. Carlos Mendoza. You're welcome, Met fans, for the Yankees training him to be such a good manager. Paul's not for change, but why does it have to stay the same? Same thing. I don't know how to explain it, Paul. Listen, I grew up, the game I grew up with, I barely recognize the game as part of the problem. I mean, change, just for change's sake, isn't necessary. Right now, the baseball is right now breaking a game that isn't broken. Or not fixing the things that are broken, I should say. They're putting Band-Aids and on wounds that should be stitched up. Right? The problem in baseball and the lack of excitement and the lack of young people getting involved is not going to be fixed by eliminating shifts and putting in pitch clocks and shortening the base paths by making the bases bigger and limiting how many times you can throw to first base. That's not improving the game. I'm sorry, the game's still being played the same way. Batting average is still awful. The game needs to go back to being taught the way it was taught to me. The game was better in the 70s, the 60s, the 80s. And then we start the game was just better. Speed up the game by putting in a pitch clock. Well, I got a boring game now played in 2 hours instead of 3.5 hours. Okay, great. Thank you. I need to see more. And again, you take all the strategy out of baseball. You don't see double switches, right? Teams don't bunt anymore, very rarely. Hit and runs. Moving base runners over. You remember when you had a guy hitting 250, but can handle the bat, and he'd hit second because he can move hit the ball to the right side and get a runner to third base. Nobody does that anymore. Who gives up an out for a run? Hardly anybody. Who gives up an out to move a guy? By the way, I forgot about the ghost runner. Even when we played as kids and we didn't have full teams, you had to have a ghost runner. At least he earned his way to second base. But how does nobody move that guy to third base with nobody out? I mean, I'm not saying it's never happened, but I'm watching ball games all the time, and I'm seeing very few teams move that guy to third base. So I had this conversation with Billy Martin Jr. I'm convinced if his dad was alive and he was the second team up, especially if he was a second team up, maybe if he was the first team up, and he started an extra innings with a guy in second base, he'd bunt him to third and then he'd suicide squeeze him home. Game over. If he's in the bottom of the ninth, obviously. I'm convinced. Anyway. Yeah, well, that's, and that's very good, by the way. I didn't bring up the Red Sox only because they're a marquee franchise. And that's, by the way, that's also not okay for us as Yankee fans to have won in the last 20 years, and the Red Sox have won 4. And at this rate, by the way, you'll catch the Yankees in about 2,700 years, something like that. Actually, that math is way off. I did that math. There was some math I did after the Red Sox finally won a World Series in 2004. First one in, 80 years, was it, Paul? And I did the math that they won one every 80 years. So my math is off. It's probably not thousands of years anymore. And I'm not a math major, as you all know, or an English major, or any kind of major at all. But I did some math after they won in 2004, and if they continued to win at that pace, which was one every 80 some years, they would catch the Yankees, and the Yankees won none. They would win in 3,800 years. Michael Gott. There's 2 things I don't understand and can't grasp in baseball, Keith. One, the balk. The balk. Is it still possible? But the double switch, you couldn't grasp it. Well, the balk can still happen. And the balk is basically you and it's put into place so you can't deceive the runner at first base, right? So you can't make a motion towards home plate and then throw to first base or second base or whatever. Well, you kind of can. No, not even at second base, you can't. Or third base. I mean, you've got to be stepping directly towards third base and throw it to third base. If you're stepping towards home, it's a ball. Lefties on first base, and some had great moves and some were very borderline. But you have to be throwing towards first base. Your whole body has to be going towards first base. Your leg can't be going through home and then whip it to second base. That's the balk. And there's been balks called on guys who, don't go into the stretch right and break. It's all about not deceiving the runner at first base, basically. Anybody wants to throw something else out in there, they certainly can. But that, at the heart of it, it's about not deceiving the base runner. And the double switch was used by managers. It's rarely used now. They might pinch hit for the pitcher. Or actually, they might make a pitching change, right? And the hitter's due to come up first, second, or in the next bottom of the inning or the next time they bat. So you would take the pitcher out, and you would put another player. You'd swap another player out who wasn't due to come up. Maybe the guy who just batted to end the previous at bat for this team. The whole idea was to push the pitcher's spot out further. So the guy you put in right field, let's say, was really put in for the pitcher in the pitcher spot, and then the pitcher would be put in the guy that was switched out. So the pitcher comes up much later in the rotation and not the next inning, basically. You save yourself a pinch hitter. You never see it. There's no reason to do it now. Maybe we've seen it here and there, but like NASCAR, they broke that by meddling with the format. Probably, yeah, I know they've done a lot of things with NASCAR over the last 20 years. I don't follow it very closely. Probably even less today than I might have in the past. And maybe because I never understood a sport that plays their Super Bowl like opening week, basically. Right? The Daytona 500 is the Super Bowl of NASCAR, and they play it. It's their first scheduled event of the season. It's very weird. Sports goes for too far with improvements. Football needed to improve safety, but they're going so far. They're heading. Well, look, they're ruining the game. We talked about this show in and show out. Football's a violent sport. Every guy who comes into the National Football League understands he may leave on a stretcher. He may not walk again. He may end up with CTE. All very sad potential outcomes, but they know what the risk is. And the financial reward is very good for almost all of them. Even the kids that don't make teams are still making more money than they might have made in the real world, I guess, depending on the job. And I that's a little bit of hyperbole probably, but they know what the risk is. And to legislate violence out of a violent game, that's what people watch for. They watch for two reasons. Three reasons. They love football and they're true to their team. Number one. They bet on games. Number two. And maybe not in these order, by the way. But they also tune in for the big hits. You think ESPN puts in, he got jacked up? What's the name of it, Rick? Jacked up? Or he got jacked up? You think they play that for just because they want to fill time? No, because people wait to see that segment because they want to see all the big hits. And the NFL is going to kill the golden goose because that's why people watch. They don't watch for Taylor Swift. They do right now. I mean, they brought in a whole new audience. I get it. That's okay. They watch to see big hits, big plays. They can't figure out what they want to do at kickoffs. They know it's the most exciting play in football, potentially. One of the most exciting plays in football, for sure. But then they legislate it to try to keep it safer because it's also one of the most dangerous plays in football. And now they've just totally screwed it up. NFL levels thousands of fines for unsportsmanlike conduct, including violent action. Isn't every movement on the football field a violent action? Unnecessary roughness. Drake London, 14,000. Ray McLeod, 10,000. 17,000. 32,000. By the way, these guys are all making tens of millions of dollars, so they probably don't really care about $28,000. It's real money, but again, the guys are bigger and faster. I understand some of the plays, even in college, some of the targeting plays I see, your head's got to go somewhere. Unless you're purposely lowering your head and launching yourself like a missile at a guy. I saw a defenseless receiver call. I think it was in a Patriot game, maybe Thursday night. And I think it was on the Jets. The guy had put the crown of his helmet hadn't come all the way down, and he hit the guy with his shoulder. Since when can't you hit the guy with your shoulder? My God. Injuries mounting in the NFL. Kittle, Nixon out, among others. Tons of them star players already. Maybe not playing in the preseason isn't a good thing. Here. the NFL will spin this like we got to take violence out of the game. We got to protect these players. There's too many injuries of stars. We'll play them and get them in game shape in the preseason, which it's for. We don't do any hitting. Now they don't do any hitting at all except on Sundays. You can only hit so many days in camp. Well, so what's going to happen when you get hit? You're going to get hurt because your body doesn't, and Rick and others who played the game, certainly at a higher, baseball was my game, but it's very simple. Your body, when you get hit, your body's going to get used to getting hit. You also learn how to absorb hits, how to take hits. Quarterbacks, when they get sacked, there's a real process to getting hit and avoiding getting injured. But you don't learn that because you don't play in real game situations. And keep levying the fines. Keep levying fines. I mean, again, it's a violent sport. Some of them are warranted. Don't get me wrong. Some aren't. Michael says, on safety, I spotted I think it was week 1, a lineman of one of those cushion helmet covers his head like they have in training. Now, this year's the first year they can wear those. I can't remember what they're calling them, the crowns or whatever. There's a few guys. Julius Peppers wears one out for the Patriots, the strong safety. There's a few guys. There's a few linemen. I mean, I don't think there's a team without at least one guy wearing these. This is the first year you could do it. You could wear them previously in camp, as you mentioned, or practices during the week. But this is the first year they've let them wear them during games. They look stupid to me. I mean, they already made the helmets bigger and more shock absorbent, if you will. Before this, you could see some players who had a special crown on the top of their helmet because they've had concussion issues or whatnot. So, yeah, this is the first year you could do that, Michael. Very little college football talk today. There were some big games yesterday, guys. I bet, by the way, here's what I bet yesterday. And we'll get this. I'm going to continue these comments. I bet USC. I bet Tennessee. Big win for Josh Heupel, where goes to his alma mater, where he won national champion and then got fired as offensive coordinator by his ex-coach. Colorado, I bet yesterday too, and huge, unbelievable end of regulation there. First, Baylor misses a field goal with about 1:30 left that would have make it 2 scores, and the game would have been over. And Baylor's not a very good football team, by the way. But Colorado and Shedeur Sanders get the ball back. A few wacky plays happen, and he launches a Hail Mary, which hits the guy right in the chest, and he drops it. It would have been a touchdown. But on the very next play, he rolls left again, very similar to the play he just ran, finds a different guy, and he makes a tremendous diving catch in the end zone to send it to overtime, and then Colorado wins in overtime. Now, I'm not saying Colorado's a great team. I'm saying it was a great way for Keith to win a bet that looked to be lost. Oh, you learn how to give the hit instead of taking the hit. Well, that's true. That's a good point. But quarterbacks learn how to roll to the ground, to absorb sacks. It's always going to hurt. God, again, it's a violent game. I got to go back to Drew's comment here. Not that this is him, just the fact that, he puts it in quotation marks. So thank you. Violent action. There's violent action on every play in football. Right? Anyway, Michael talks about the new kickoff rules. Could they and should they do something similar on punt return? No, they shouldn't. This rule's terrible. Just put the ball on the 30 and just start there. If this is what we're going to do, I said in preseason, when I saw these alignments, Because if you actually kick the ball into the kicking zone, which is what, the 10-yard line, I think, to the goal line, if I'm not mistaken. Now your linemen have it because the defensive guys can't gun down the field, right? They can't leave until that ball hits the ground. Well, you've got a chance to make a really big play. That's the whole idea that the NFL put into play with these rules. That's what they wanted. They wanted to see more kick returns, but with less chance of injury because guys can't work up this head of steam. And plus, you can set up a blocking scheme. Theoretically, maybe that's a good idea. But in reality, and I said this in the preseason, when everybody was crowing, oh, the kickoff rules are working great. They're returning 77% of the kicks now. Last year, they were returning only 37%. Well, now they're kicking 77% through the end zone. I've never given a guy the chance to return the ball. Never. So you've actually, I think the returns, the last week, I think, brought it up a little bit. But why would you do that? I'm kicking it, and you see guys trying to kick it in that zone. They kick it out of bounds. You get it to 40. Just kick it through the end zone and give them the ball to 30, or just stop kicking off at all. So no, don't put it in. Is it possible? Don't put anything past the NFL as far as putting in silly rules. I mean, only Major League Baseball is ahead of the NFL for silly rules. But I wouldn't want to see it, Michael. I want to put the rules back the way they were. Make the guy kick for the 25. You'll have returns all the time. Oh, did I say that already? Did you say that twice, or did I just put it up twice? That's weird. Rookie Mike Hall with the Browns pleads no contest to a domestic violence charge and remains with the team. See, yeah, just don't let the air out of a football. The league's full of thugs. Guys who hit women. Guys carry guns on planes. Guys are involved in double homicides at Super Bowl weekend in Atlanta. That's going back a ways for those younger folks, because we do have this young demographic here. But don't let the air out of a football, because you'll get suspended. Sure as. 2-8 in your college picks. Paul doesn't want to talk about college. Let's look real quick at the and when we get to about 10 o'clock, I'll give you my pro picks, which, by the way, I know Rick made a comment in the Big Football Show that everybody's waiting with bated breath for my football picks. I haven't done much better, so you can bet the other way. I haven't done much better on the pro level either. Oh, you know, it's funny. I almost took myself right out of the studio here. Sorry about that. Where's my, I had this open, and then, well, there it is right there. I got it in my favorites. I didn't even know it. We'll look at the college results right now. Then we'll look at the pro games here in a little bit. Here's the college results from yesterday. Whoever ESPN fan 64-80-20 blah 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 is still leading away with 28 wins. He had 6 right yesterday. Tough week. 6 out of 10 was the best anybody could do. The Sports Nut, I still don't know who that is running second. Keithy has moved up to third. He had only 5 right yesterday. He's got 22 wins. That's me, by the way. And Paul and I are tied at 22 after Paul's 2 yesterday. Then Beamer Ball, which is Neil Bush, sorry. Scott Colby with only 2 winners yesterday. I don't know if we'll see Scott this morning. And then Rick is at 18-22. Kenny's at 14-17. Rick and this tough week, man. We had 3 guys with 2 wins yesterday. That's rough. And I would say the Mad New Yorker has stopped playing. And we'll get into the pro portion of this here in just a little bit. NFL's reviewing Hall's case for good. I mean, they got to get the thug element out of football. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's a violent game on the field. I didn't say it should be a violent game off the field. And if you can't separate the two, then you don't belong in the league. By the way, couple things. Speaking of the NFL, I didn't bring this up. I think a big deal is being made out of two situations that are they've been blown out of proportion. Rodgers' little interaction with Robert Saleh on the sideline last week, where he pushed him away. Rodgers kind of laughed it off after the game, saying he was hitting Rodgers, saying, "There's your 2 touchdowns." Maybe he was, because Saleh made a big point about being up 2 touchdowns in games and, giving the defense every advantage they can. Other people think he was disrespecting his coach, blah, 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 blah. Whatever. It's an emotional moment in the game, and he pushes him away. Tom Brady used to get in coaches' faces time after day after day after day. And if you don't have passion for what you do, and God forbid I've got to sit here and defend Aaron Rodgers, for crying out loud. It's just totally blown out of proportion in certain social media circles. And also the Caleb Williams. Look at the kid just had a tough loss on the road. He's off to a rough start. This kid's going to be very good, by the way. He's different. And he made a comment, supposedly, again, I still have some questions about the veracity of what was said. But he said, why would I want to take advice from him, basically? Because CJ Stroud came up to him after the game, gave him a couple of words of encouragement, and he kind of blew him off. And I think the big deal is the body language in the picture is terrible. Aren't guys allowed to react in a moment emotionally? These guys aren't robots. So, anyway. Michael watched the Irish-Miami game yesterday, and the USC game was at 3:30, but USC didn't play Tennessee. I think, maybe you watch the USC and the Tennessee games late over here in the UK. They're showing multiple games here alongside NFL coverage. That's great. What do you watch it on, Michael? I'm curious where you find the games in the UK. And the Irish win big over Miami, who's not very good. But again, I talked about the fact that the Irish need to have style points now from here on out, because even the teams that look like they would be really good wins, I mean, Texas A&M is still a good win. But Florida State and USC is the only good wins left would have been the only good wins left on the schedule if Florida State hadn't gone totally in the tank. And they did get a win yesterday, their first win over not a bad Cal team, by the way, their first year in the ACC. So Florida State gets a win. But listen, when the Irish go and beat Florida State, that's not going to be as impressive as it was. With USC now losing on the road, not a horrible loss. Michigan's not as good as they were last year. Their offense is not very good. And they almost let this game get away from them, because they were in control of this game a lot through the first half and into the second half. And USC gamely came back, playing in the big house, tough place to play, and played well. So beating USC will still give them some cred, assuming they don't go in the tank, USC. But these other games, we talked about running up scores. Notre Dame's got no choice but to run up scores if they want to find their way back to the playoff, which they still have a path to, because you're going to see teams lose. Every time a K-State and Oklahoma State loses, that's good for Notre Dame, because that's more possibility that the Big 12 or the ACC maybe doesn't get a second team in other than their champion. We know the SEC is getting 5 teams, maybe 6, but Missouri didn't look good yesterday. Almost got beat by Vanderbilt. Took a It took a horrible field goal attempt at the end of the game to be missed by Vanderbilt to survive. But if they get 5 teams in, which I think is a great possibility, and the Big Ten gets 3 or probably 3, maybe 2, but probably 3. I mean, now the ACC and the Big 12 get a second team in. You're starting to run out of spots. You only got 7 at-large berths. If 4 of them go to the SEC, because the champion would be one of those 5. If 4 of them go there and 2 of them go to the Big Ten, well, that's 6. That's 6 at-larges. They can't afford one of the ACC or Big 12 teams to get a bid, or they're out. They're going to end up 13 or 14, even if they run the table. So every time one of these, I guarantee you they're rooting against everybody in the ACC and everybody in the Big 12 every week. He never played. Ooh. That's the problem. I was telling Drew yesterday. Sometimes I get to these comments and I go, I'm not saying, I probably ought to know, but there's so many comments in between. Maybe he's talking about Mike Hall. I don't know. So anyway, I gotta put in regards to whatever. I gotta look at StreamYard and see if there's some way I can make the comments. So it starts with, it makes you fill in regards to one word, just so I can figure out what comment it goes to. Scott Colby, good morning, buddy. 2 wins yesterday. Tough for Scott. 2 wins in the Scott, I bet, to let you know too, I bet USC, which came out a loser yesterday, looked like we might pull that victory. It fell from 6 to 4.5. Or 6 to 4, actually. I got it at 4. I could have got a push. They went ahead late in the game. And then Michigan, showing great resilience, wins that game. And then I bet Tennessee, which rolled, wasn't as close as the score in Oklahoma. And, of course, Colorado bails me out big time after dark last night with that late win. Scott's first prop bet of the show, Chris Goodwin, over 65.5 receiving yards today. We have, let's see, we have football soccer player over here who's just been done done. I think we probably have a little language thing here, but I'm guessing arrested or maybe whatever for trying to smuggle drugs through an airport. Can't understand their mentality when they earn all that money to start. Well, look, it's, oh my gosh. You're absolutely right. I mean, we go back, and the guys weren't making as much money when guys like Nate Newton were in trouble. Michael Vick fighting dogs. I just had somebody in my mind here. Even in the world of entertainment, look at P. Diddy. Everybody knew what he was doing. This guy's got the world by the short hairs, right? And he's got to be trafficking women. He's got to be what? I don't. It's just a power thing, or I've got to be as deviant as possible. I don't know what goes through people's minds. I don't. I mean, live your life right, guys. That's all. Oklahoma and Tennessee. I got you. Watch on Sky Sports, my provider. I think, I think some others have told us the same thing. Baseball, you had some trouble with, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Michael. Oklahoma, Tennessee was a good matchup. Josh Heupel, as I said, won a national championship as a quarterback for Bob Stoops' first national title team. Came back years later to be his offensive coordinator and was summarily fired and replaced by one Lincoln Riley, ironically enough. And Josh Heupel has kind of been holding a grudge for a while and got a chance for revenge. And Tennessee hasn't won a road game against a ranked SEC opponent since T. Martin was a quarterback. Phil Fulmer was a coach. Pretty sure. I don't remember one. And this was a good win. This is not a great Oklahoma team, though. I don't know if Alan is listening in at all, but it just isn't a good Alabama team. They're 3-0 coming in here. They nearly lost to Houston at home, 14-12. They kept Tulane in a game at home till the fourth quarter. I don't remember what they did week one, but their defense is better. I had said this team was going to be 8-4 at best. And their first year in the SEC, maybe 8-4 will be okay. But Brett Venables pretty soon is going to have the clock is going to be on him. There's Flo, our boy from Bottom Line Sports. Bottom Line Sports does some great stuff, guys. Catch their podcast. Flo, give us a little plug. The days and times you're on, and we'll make sure that we get some guys in your show. I got, if I was on at the right time, and Flo's stuff is on Let's Talk Sports as well. One of our they're still we still consider them a partner in what we do. I mean, they let us share to the group. We didn't stick it out with them with the live. All the shows going live on YouTube because, again, big audience for me at least, and on Facebook, and I just didn't want to put all my eggs in one basket there and have some people that would miss out on the shows and whatnot. So no animosity there, and wish them all well. And there's some great stuff, including Bottom Line Sports with Flo and the gang, and Nick Bodkins, Scott Colby you'll find over there, who's obviously always participating on our Sunday show, if not other shows. He's there for the Major League Baseball update. But anyway, Flo does some great stuff. Catch his stuff, and if I think of it, I'll get on and share the show at some point. But I'm never on at the right times, man. By the time I get done working, if I'm not doing a show, I hope I'm scrolling on my phone and I catch somebody. AC's with us a little late today. Just woke up. Too much partying last night. I had a few adult beverages at the birthday party yesterday myself. Came home, had a couple. Sat outside by the fire and watched the Miami South Florida game, and then the end of the Colorado game. Got a little cold. I had a couple of brandies out there. And so I woke up a little tired this morning myself, because when I go to bed at 12:30 and get up at 5:30, it's just my body won't let me sleep more than 5 hours. But good morning to you, AC, by the way. Scott Colby says, poor Alan Perales has to sing Rocky Top because he lost the bet. Alan never learns. He's picked him over the last 2 weeks plus Thursday night. I'm going to go through my picks, by the way. I have 14 wins after 2 weeks, right? 2 weeks in one game, because I'm always going to have a loss for the Patriots. I've already got one loss this week. I suck. That's in Drew's league, by the way. Which the scores will be the same most likely in the ESPN league. We'll look at that in a second. Wait till the top of the hour. I'll give you my picks with no spreads. I'll try to give you my bets too, because I got to get my bets in too quick. I tell you, our survivor pool is going to be a tough pick this week. I'm not sure where we're going. Second prop bet for Scott today is Amari Cooper over 47.5 receiving yards. Well, if he doesn't, Cleveland's not beating the Jets or the Giants. I'll take. I'm wavering. I may take the Giants this week. Cleveland's horrible. Deshaun Watson's horrible. Oh, I said his name. He'll show up like Beetlejuice now behind me. I despise this guy. Bottom Line Sports, go to look that up. There you go, Flo. We got Michael Gott from the UK. Look up Bottom Line Sports. You can find them at Bottom Line Sports, I know, on Facebook. You can also find them on the Let's Talk Sports YouTube channel as well. Keith, you can talk about the Patriots and what you saw Thursday night. Yeah, I can talk. What I saw in week 1 and even week 2 in spots was the best the Patriots have. And the only way they can win games. You've got to play out in front. You can't play from behind. This team played from behind. You as soon as they were down 14-0, this team is not built to overcome a 14-0 deficit. Probably against anybody, much less a defense that's good like the Jets. I thought the Jets played now the Patriots looked bad. The offensive line was a sieve. Part of that is because the Jets had a great defensive scheme. They've got some great players on that defensive side of the football. And one thing we don't often give enough credence to is when a team looks bad, whether it's on offense or defense, and the Patriots look bad in both places. We don't give credence to how well the team on the other side of football might be playing and causing some of those issues. Now, that was part of the case, but I think you saw who the Patriots are. Offensive line isn't good enough. Brissett can't make plays because there's nobody to get the ball to when he's under duress. There's nobody to bail him out. Defensively, I think they really miss Bentley a lot, who's out for the year now, and obviously Judon, who was traded to the Falcons. That linebacker core is affecting the entire defense. The defense was really good last year. The defense kept them in games right and left. The defense was really good. Yeah, they gave a lot of passing yards to Geno last week. But that defense isn't as good this year. They kept them in games all last year. They were really blown out of many games, if any, last year. But it's hurting right now, and that lack of talent in the linebacker core is having an effect on the entire defense, putting a lot of pressure on the defensive backs. There's very little pressure on the quarterbacks. There's no containment. I mean, how many times did they have? They gave Rodgers a little bit of pressure, and he just walks. He's 41 years old. He's not the greatest athlete in the world, and he just, waltzes for 8, 9, 10 yards, gets a first down. So you got to contain better. This team is, and don't play Drake May. Don't play Drake May. Gerard Mayo, don't play Drake May. You will set him up to fail. You will destroy his confidence, a la Bryce Young. I'm not against rookie quarterbacks playing like some people are. They think they should never play. If you're in a good situation on a decent team, then you should play and learn on the field. That you can't learn anything playing behind this offensive line and with this lack of weapons to go to. They will set Drake May up for failure, just like Bryce Young, who's been benched for Andy Dalton, the Red Rifle. If I got that nickname right. And now they're looking to trade him. I think Bryce Young, he's small. Maybe his arm strength isn't as good as people thought it was, but I still think he could possibly be a competent quarterback in this league. But another, just like Mac Jones, another instance of his coaching staff totally screwing up a quarterback. For different reasons, by the way. Bryce Young probably shouldn't have been playing behind that horrible offensive line. Mac Jones, they just didn't give a coordinator to in second year. No spreads, that's harder. I don't know why. It should be easier, Danny, by all intents and purposes, for all intents and purposes, but I have 4 wins last week. 4 wins. All I needed was to pick a winner. But the problem is I still have like a spread mentality in my head, right? When I see a hot underdog that I like, I forget I'm not getting any points, I think, in some cases. I need to get a win. I'll give you a laugh, Danny. I like the Giants a lot today because Cleveland's so bad. 6.5 on the road, I'll take it, but I'm not getting it in the no spread league. So, which to your point, I guess, makes it a little tougher. Hard to find those underdog winners. I hate Thursday night football as well. I don't like, because I got Thursday night, I got Sunday night, I got Monday night. I just won't stay up for all the games. The Patriot games, I will stay, and I watched every last down of that soul-breaking performance on Thursday night. Just not a good team. Cleveland beats Keith Engle's playoff bound Giants. I'm not ready to do a mea culpa after 2 weeks. I've watched teams get better after being 0-2. Now, albeit they had more talent than the Giants. But I got to do a mea culpa. I had to do a mea culpa on Nebraska yesterday. I said that team would be 6-0, 7-0, whichever number it was, when they got to Ohio State late in October. And I got into Knoxville Nate, and I got into a little back and forth on the college football show because I believe Nebraska is on their way back. I didn't say that, in fairness to me, I didn't necessarily say this team was competing for a national championship. I didn't say this team was even competing for the Big Ten championship. I said they had a chance to maybe slide into, if Oregon stumbled and somebody was going to slide into that second spot for the conference title game, and they're going to get killed, probably whoever it is that plays Ohio State, unless Oregon gets appreciably better. So I said that Matt Rule was bringing this team back to relevancy is really where I was talking about, to be fair to me. In no way that I said they were going undefeated. And I said there was a possibility Ohio State could be their only loss. A possibility. The whole point is Matt Rule's a really good coach and a really good program builder. And I really didn't say that they were a contender yet. They're playing a true freshman at quarterback, and he showed Friday night he's got a lot to learn. Illinois is a sneaky good team as well in that Big Ten, now 4-0. I think that was their first conference game, though. Hard to remember because of, how many teams are in the Big Ten. Any guess how many teams are in the Big Ten? I'll give it a hint. It's not 10. It's 18, and I don't know why we have to pretend it's 10. But to get to Danny's point, the Giants suck so far. It might be worse than the Patriots. And by the way, I got to tell you, here's the thing. Daniel Jones played a really good game last week, by the way, in case you missed it, and the fact that they lost and became the first team in the history of football, National Football League, to score 3 touchdowns. And the other team scored no touchdowns, and they lost the game because they gave up 7 field goals, and they rolled the dice on their kicker, who got hurt, I think, on the opening kickoff. He was already hurt before that. And they lose 21-18. But Daniel Jones played a pretty good game. And again, I'm not telling you the Redskins are any good. I don't think we really know how good the Redskins are yet. Good morning, Dave Guyette. Tough loss for your Syracuse Orangemen Friday night. Stanford gets their first ACC win. I liked Syracuse. I almost bet them Friday night. Thank God I didn't. But they didn't play very well. Their first loss of the year, playing very, very well. Matt, I do this everywhere. Let you off. Trying, Matt. I'm trying. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you here this morning. Danny, see, I know Danny post. Come on, can't get my comment in here. Danny says Patriots are what they were before Brady. Bad, very bad. They're worse than that. Remember, before Brady, in the 90s, except for 2000, 99, before Brady, they were, for 2 years, maybe 3 years, they were a 5 or 6 win team. But before that, they were a playoff team under Pete Carroll. twice. I think he got fired after they really went sour, but he made the playoffs twice with that team. Bill Parcells had taken them to a Super Bowl and ruined the entire week for all us Patriot fans. But they're bad. I will give you that. They're a very bad football team. There's the information for the Bottom Line Sports for you, Jeff. Sorry. Michael Gott. I say Jim Gott. Jim Gott was a relief pitcher. I see your name, Michael, and I think of Jim Gott all the time, who I've been trying to get on the one-on-one show and have not been able to do so far. Really good relief pitcher back in his day. So Flo and the gang is the sports shows on Facebook, YouTube, and X every Tuesdays. How much is that? If you're still with me, Flo, because I stopped streaming to X live. I share the shows later, which I haven't done lately. I've been really bad about that. But you got to pay the premium price now to stream live to X, and I'm just curious what that is. I don't really know. I haven't looked into it, but I know about a month ago, I guess, they stopped allowing me to stream live. But anyway, he is on every Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern, the Bottom Line Sports on all platforms. Flo and a whole panel of guys discuss all the pertinent topics in the world of sports today, probably from a much more intelligent angle than this show. Only because of our hosts, not because of you guys. You guys are the best. The quarterback for Notre Dame, Riley Leonard, who I said was a key to this team this year, and I had an AC followed my advice. Listen, this bet isn't dead yet. Notre Dame win the national championship. It's not over. The coaching staff in that loss to NIU, it was very clear they did not know how to use Riley Leonard and what his real strengths were. And that falls on Marcus Freeman, and that falls on the offensive coordinator. You don't get a kid who throws better on the run, who can make things happen on broken plays. You don't leave him in the pocket to sit there and throw flat-footed. It's not where Riley Leonard's strengths are. His strengths are getting him out of the pocket, give him a pass run option. And they've shown it the last 2 weeks. Again, not against great competition. I get that. But they need to rebuild this kid's confidence, and they're doing it. He's had 2 good games in a row. And he dropped a touchdown pass at the end of the first half yesterday. I'm sorry, he dropped in a touchdown pass. He throws better on the run than he does in the pocket. Doesn't mean he can't throw from the pocket, but if you're gonna maximize the use of a quarterback who's as athletic as Riley Leonard, then you're doing your team and your quarterback a disservice. And will people not talking about here stop saying Drake May should start week 4? Thank you. That offensive line was frankly offensive. It's criminal. And for them to put Riley Leonard in would be criminal. They'd be risking his maturation a lot. He's going to learn more watching right now than he is getting his ass kicked. And I got into a little debate with Mac on the Mac and Jack show, I think it was Friday. We talked about this topic, and I said, look, Jacoby Brissett knows what he signed on for. He signed on for to be a bridge quarterback, and he's going to get his ass kicked until they're better and they can play Drake May. And he was all pissed off about that Jacoby Myers shouldn't have to go out there and get his ass kicked if he doesn't want to. You signed a contract knowing full well this was what was going to happen. I like Jacoby Brissett. He's a decent backup quarterback. He's a decent bridge quarterback. They're not going to win. We never thought they were going to win. Yes, I came up with a perfect world scenario where the team could win 9 games. I never said they would. 4 games would be good. The offensive line has got to get better, and the skill position players have got to be better around Drake May, before I'm putting him in a game other than and you know what, Scott? I was telling my wife in the fourth quarter, please don't put Drake May in garbage time, because if the Jets sit back, and they didn't, thankfully, and Drake May leads them on a 80-yard touchdown drive in garbage time, well, then we're going to have all this controversy. Play Drake May. When that would not have been in reality, we saw this, remember, with Tom Brady when they wanted to, one of the times everybody said, it's time to move on because Brady got hurt or they took him out. I guess they took him out in a blowout at Kansas City. The famous, we're on to Cincinnati comments from Bill Belichick. And Jimmy Garoppolo had played garbage time and looked really good. They were down by 3-4 scores, and he got him a couple late touchdowns in garbage time, and everybody was all in arms and asked Bill, do you have a quarterback controversy in your hands? And he just laughed. It's classic. So I'm praying that this wouldn't happen again. Not that this, it's a little bit different. We're comparing Tom Brady to Jacoby Brissett, but don't play him. Who's, well, sadly, Paul, sadly, Danny's not wrong. Oh, it's so sad. I said for 20 years, at some point, we will be like everybody else. That time came 4 years ago. And the first year post Brady was bad. Second year made the playoffs with a rookie quarterback who looked like they had some promise. The third year, they take a second-year quarterback that second year is huge to any young quarterback's development. And they don't give an offensive coordinator or quarterback coach. They give him nothing. And I'll blame Bill Belichick. Listen, Bill Belichick is still the greatest coach of all time. You can talk all you want. You would never won without Brady. I don't care. That coaching staff had a lot to do with Tom Brady becoming Tom Brady. Tom Brady was drafted where he was drafted for a reason. And he developed into a great quarterback under the tutelage of Bill Belichick and a Patriot coaching staff. Sorry, you can't take that out of the equation. You could try, but you're wrong. So he's still the best. But then now, by the same token, I'm blaming Bill Belichick for absolutely ruining Mac Jones's career. Gave him no chance in year 2 or year 3. He did bring an offensive coordinator finally, Bill O'Brien, but the team was awful. And he regressed, mostly because of the things that went on in year 2. Matt's hoping Judge can get a few more HRs. Okay, I just want him to. I want them to be in the postseason. I could care less right now, Matt, if he hits any more in a regular season. I want him to get his swing right and be ready for the playoffs and be ready for the elite pitching that's coming our way. I'm happy they're looking at a bye in the first round. And listen, my fingers will be crossed come playoff time. I got to do my NFL picks here in a second, guys. Let me, Danny, for facts. He's right. Sunday Surge is our new show on Bottom Line Sports, where we recap all the NFL action and preview Sunday night and Monday Night Football. That's exclusively on Let's Talk Sports Network. There you go. I know we air on, national streaming sports now, as well as my other outlets. But we'll give the guys who come here and participate and allow me to share my shows to their platforms a shout out every time. Michael Gott, thanks for the info. TBL, to be determined later. I don't know what that means. Yeah, the fact is, Danny, you guys all like to, again, I'm going to say this one more time. So everybody stop and listen. You cannot discount the fact that Tom Brady, while in college, was not Tom Brady. Tom Brady was the 199th pick in the draft for a reason. He developed into a great quarterback under the tutelage of Bill Belichick and Bill Belichick's coaching staff. Now, from there, yeah, you can say that there are points in time where Tom Brady helped Bill Belichick win championships. But I will tell you, you cannot say that you cannot discount the fact that Bill Belichick and his coaching staff helped make Tom terrific. That's Tom Seaver, by the way, not Tom Brady. For us New York fans. I'm not a Met fan, so I won't hold that against you. But you can't discount the fact that he helped make Tom Brady a Hall of Famer. He was 199th pick in the draft. Under his tutelage, and his offensive coordinator's tutelage and quarterback coach tutelage. How many times can I say tutelage in a sentence? He progressed from being a third, fourth string quarterback in his first training camp to in 2000, when the 2001 season started. Sorry. He was the best quarterback in camp, and Drew Bledsoe was only playing because he had just signed the richest contract in the history of the NFL. I don't understand. I can scream. I've had these arguments with people for every year since I've been doing this show. Well, Tommy was still with the Patriots and after. The talent wasn't there. You think Tom Brady would be winning with this team? With the teams that we've had the last 4 years? That we would have won Super Bowls if Tom Brady was here? No. Where Bill Belichick fails is as a talent evaluator and drafting players later in his career. Early on, it was good. The game changed and Bill didn't. Didn't make him any worse of a coach or take away his legacy. It looks bad because Tommy goes to a really loaded Tampa Bay team and wins. They don't win 6 Super Bowls without Brady and Belichick. They might win 2 if it was only Brady. They might win 2 if it was only Belichick. Let me get my picks in before we get too late. We're going to have to sign off at 10:30, guys, so we can get on with our day. But let me give you my picks. We know what we did last week. This is not the pros, I can tell you right now. Keith has 14 wins to date. The leader right now in our clubhouse is, again, that ESPN fan. We don't know who it is. Picks 4, 22 wins. JB's picks, 22. Rick tied at 22. We got 3 guys at 22. Paul's up there at 22. Great job. The sports nut, still don't know who that is, 20. Scott Kobe, a lot much better in the NFL with 18. Drew at 18. Then there's Kenny with 14. Keith with 14. Danny, looks like he finally got his picks in at 12 and 4. He got off to a good start, but he missed a week. And the Mad New Yorker looks like he's given up already, and the other players have not even entered the pick. Not sure why they joined, but that's what it is. So Keith's got 1 loss already, obviously, because he can tell you he will pick his Patriots no matter what every week. Just to make Danny happy, I will take the Giants over the Cleveland Browns today. Why are the Browns that much better than the Giants? Has anybody watched them play? Tennessee, I'll take over Green Bay. If Love had played, I may have switched this up, but I'm going to take the home team and Will Levis. His coach was very hard on Will Levis last week. I like them to bounce back at home today. I'll take the Colts over the Bears. Bears are a very talented team, and they're not getting that offense going the way they should. Caleb Williams, I know he's a rookie quarterback, but there's a lot of talent around him, and that team better get better soon, or there could be some issues. They're 1-1. I'm going to take the Texans on the road against the Vikings. Sorry, Rick. I will take the Eagles. I've changed my pick here. I did take the Saints first. I am now on the Eagles to beat the Saints. Steelers over the Chargers. Herbert is questionable today. The Steelers have found a way to win games, and Justin Fields will be the quarterback there until they lose. I can tell you that. They're not putting Russell Wilson in until they lose a game or they're getting beat, and Fields is the reason they're getting beat. I'll take Tampa Bay over the Broncos. The Broncos are not very good. I picked them to finish last in the West. A lot of people were excited about the Broncos and Bo Nix. Not this guy. I'll take the Raiders against the Panthers. Probably going to be our suicide pick, but I think I'm going to try to talk my boy into Seattle. My boy Mark into Seattle. Because there are going to be so many people on the Raiders. I want to root against them. The Cowboys, I'll take over the Ravens. The over on 2 Ravens, getting a little desperate maybe if it would have lost today. Take the 49ers over the Rams. I'd like to take the Rams at home, but the 49ers just have their number. Lions over the Cardinals. Lions could be a suicide pick today. I don't like to take teams on the road in a suicide pool if I don't have to. I like the Chiefs over the Falcons. All you guys who think the Chiefs are, just being helped by the league and the referees, get over it. And why are there 2 Monday night games this week? Does anybody know why there's 2 Monday night games this week and no Sunday night game? What's going on tonight that NBC doesn't have a game? I'm missing something. Unless this is where they got to give ABC 2 Monday night games. I don't really know. Anyway, we got the Bills. I'll take the Bills over the Jaguars. Jaguars struggling mightily. Maybe that's a pick. I don't know. And I'll take the Bengals over the team formerly known as the Redskins. There's my picks for this week. Back to your guys' comments. Sunday Surge comes on Sunday, of course, LOL, but at 6:30 p.m. Central, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. So that's following up Flo's previous comments. As Belichick totally left the Patriots, no, he's not in the background as a consultant. They have totally parted ways. There's no way he was staying affiliated with his team, nor do they want him to be. And don't be fooled. Bill Belichick was fired. This wasn't a mutual parting. They can put it any way they want. Bill Belichick was fired. It does matter. Perception is true. Guys, see what Keith is trying to do. Talk nice about the Giants to get Eli on his show on Friday as a guest. It's a reverse psychology for my Aaron Boone. I'm trying to get Brett Boone and Bob Boone on. I can't because of the way I talk about Aaron Boone. I'm trying reverse psychology to get Eli on Friday's show. Don't know why Keith keeps destroying Aaron Boone, by the way. I saw the ink said, Terry Quinn. Scott's the best. Listen, Aaron Boone would be my favorite manager if he goes out and wins a World Series this year. Jamar Chase over 81.5 is his 3rd prop pick of the show. Scott is the gambling guru when it comes to these prop picks. Yeah, I'm done. I'm not paying into the fund anymore. Redskins, Indians, I'm just done. I'm not even going to pretend anymore. They're the Redskins. End of story. For a while, for you guys who may be newer to the show, every time I slipped and said Redskins, I would, put a quarter in a jar or whatever, or $20. What was it, Rick? I don't remember. I did it so many times. Now I've just decided I don't even want to give any pretense of political correctness because it's all nonsense. Anytime names get changed, Shenandoah is dropping Plainsman from their as their nickname. What? And anytime these pro teams, feel a little bit, and congratulations to the Braves for not bending to public pressure. I mean, it's just, oh God. We're so soft, and it's guilty. It's guilty white people who have an issue with we're disparaging the Native Americans. Everything that there's a problem, we need to apologize for everything that happened in history. And some ugly things have happened in history. I'm certainly not denying that. But there were a whole lot more white people up in arms. In fact, there are Native Americans who are trying to get the Redskins name back. And it may come back. I would not be shocked. And to me, it would be a great sign that we're on our way to returning this country to some kind of semblance of normalcy, rather than being offended by everything that happens in life and everything we see and everything people say. I know it's a small step. It's a nickname for a sports team. So anyway, you'll never hear me say, maybe I'll see formally once in a while, but yes, can we say 100 Reds? Can we say 100% Redskins 100% fans? Love it, Keith Engle. Yes, we can. I can. And what am I going to get? Am I going to get fired? Who got fired? Who we talking about? Oh, yes, Bill Belichick. He got fired. Yes, he got fired. And he won 6 Super Bowls before he did. And he turned Tom Brady into a Hall of Fame quarterback. X is $11 for so that's a month, I guess. Maybe I'll do it. It just annoyed me. I don't. Danny's spewing a lot of I don't know if that's a word. No, listen, that sounds like Paul. I'm not. I'm laughing with you. I promise you. That sounds like one of my words. But I think now we're taking the gloves off here, Danny. I think I know the sentiment that's meant to express here. I'm just not sure. Paul's been stealing my playbook here for the language. Paul, I do that. I make up words. If I know what they mean, that's all that really matters. Tom Henke, really great closer at one time in Toronto. Once commented on young David Wells. He's a left-hander. I think he has a couple of screws loose, but he's a really good kid circa 1991. Listen, David Wells definitely had some screws loose. Chris, great pitcher though. Great pitcher. Not a Hall of Famer. Pitched a perfect game for the Yankees. Pitched a game like in an old Babe Ruth cap one year. And he would go out and give the Babe's statue a tap every time before he pitched. I think this guy, I wasn't the biggest fan of David Wells, quite frankly. But I think the guy really appreciated being a Yankee. I really do. Good one, Chris. Army's 3-0 and playing well. Army's 3-0. I'm sorry, Navy's 3-0 and playing well. Something overlooked, and I brought it up on a college football show. Army and Navy now are in the same conference. Now, interestingly enough, the Army-Navy game will be played as a non-conference game because they don't play each other every year because, again, there's no divisions and such. Both are 3-0. Navy destroyed Memphis, who was one of the higher ranked group of 5 teams. Listen, it's not inconceivable. Maybe not this year. I don't know. I mean, if an Army or a Navy team were to run the table, it's not inconceivable that they could not even run the table. They win the AAC. They're both, Navy's kind of in the driver's seat there right now, having beat Memphis. I'm not sure if Army's played a conference game. Rice, I could be in the AAC now. I'm not sure. We'll get more into that on the college football show. But, and guys, we got about 10 minutes left. But big news is, and I've said this for years, wouldn't it be great if they all played in the same conference of military academies? Air Force is in serious talks with the AAC about coming aboard as the Mountain West is about to become no more. You're here. You're there. I know you're there. Oh, you're here for Paul. At Flo, when can I be on the Sunday Surge as a Hall of Fame guest? You'll probably get the invite as soon as I do. TBL is an acronym for our show. Good grief, it's staring me right in the. Oh my God! Thank you, Flo. And Michael, there's so many acronyms that people use today that I see them and I kind of just go, what? It's right there. It's not just an acronym; it's also your logo. So, I'm going to start using TBL because it's easier than the Bottom Line Sports. I can shorten the intro to the show. Well, it's not just Danny. I mean, again, this is why Danny is now. And Rick has stepped up his game quite a bit, but Danny, in a very short period of time, has become a contender for the Itch of the Year award, which we may rename in honor of the original Itch, Billy Pulver, who doesn't pop in a lot anymore, but when he does, he's handed the torch over to Rick and Kenny, who've done a great job, and now Danny's really pushing his way up the rankings here, and is a serious contender for the award. I think we ought to have I said this before. I think I got to get a trophy, and we'll award it to the Itch of the Year. And Danny, we agree to disagree, like you stated. We dislike winners, LOL. I definitely feel Bill gets way too much credit. It's mostly people that love the Patriots. Well, sure, fine. I mean, I would also point out that Bill Parcells didn't win any Super Bowls without Bill Belichick. Just to give Bill a little more credence. And I know you're not a Giant fan, but just to kind of throw that in there, we consider Bill Parcells one of the great coaches. Maybe you don't, I guess. Maybe Giant fans only do that too. I'm not a big fan of the guy. And he's never won a Super Bowl without Bill Belichick. Again, he wasn't a head coach, obviously. Flo agrees with me on Tom Brady. The first few are thanks to Bill and his defense. It took Tom 5-7 to become TB12. 100%. 100%. People are revisionists, and again, it's recency bias as well. I talked about that at the top of the show. I talk about it a lot when it comes to Hall of Fame conversations and other things. MVP votes, recency bias comes into play all the time. I got to get myself situated here. I keep bouncing. So recency bias says Tommy was, the whole reason for everything that ever happened in the NFL. And I love Tom Brady. I'm not demeaning Tom Brady in any way, shape, or form. People who know me know how I feel about Tom Brady. I had to do a lot of defending of him as well. And I still do. See my Chiefs comments. Ready for picks, Rick Sherlock. Let's prepare our bets. All you got to do is go to mine and just bet against me, and you will win. You'll win. Careful with the parlays because I'm going to sneak a win in here or there. So you might want to just bet against me every game. Nice trap. Agreed about Billy. Look at that. 2-1 for me. Love it. My first bet is Cleveland. How about you? I don't blame you. I would bet against me all the way. The Panthers are the White Sox of the NFL. White Sox, 2 wins away, guys. They could tie the record today. I've been waiting for this for years. Somebody to break this record. There's so many bad teams. I always thought it'd be the A's. Rams have 4 offensive linemen out. All right. Maybe I'll take the 49ers in the survivor pool. Got to run, Paul. I got to run in a few minutes, too. So thanks for popping in, Paul, and thanks to everybody. I'll say that again. Got to get my lineups in early and going out to meet a friend for lunch. So have fun. I'm going out to meet some friends for football. Eli, amazing. Even a Hall of Fame mention. That's it. I didn't even get into it. 167 guys nominated. And Eli's one of them. It's first time, I believe. Patriot's name is offensive to me as an American patriot. Where's it going to end? Flo, it's just ridiculous, man. Soon we'll have all major sports playing at the same time. We're close now. Well, they do. Hockey and basketball will be playing in November, won't they? October? So we'll all be playing their championships at the same time. John Gonzalez had my week 2 picks in the NFL pool. Yeah, you past posted it and took the Jets. I knew you wanted the Patriots. There's Pulver. Billy Pulver is here. I stand corrected. I'm glad you're still here, Billy. You've handed over your itch title to Rick and Kenny, but listen, if Billy decides to start commenting, he could easily retain his title. I mean, we don't have to retire this award to your name, Billy. It's good to have you with us, Bill. And we can call the award the Pulverizer. That's awesome. All right. Well, it might have a horse's ass on top of it. I'm not sure yet what we should put on top of the trophy. CA, try to root later on. Everybody enjoy football. You too, CA. Guys, it's been a great Sunday morning. I appreciate it. You guys know how much I appreciate your viewership and your kind words and even your itchiness. I have a blast every show, and Sundays are still they warm my heart. There you go, Michael. God is now with Bottom Line Sports. Awesome. You're welcome, Flo. I want a finder's fee. Horse's ass will be it's getting rough. It's getting rough in here. We're gonna call it a day, guys. Thanks for watching. I'll see you when do I see you? I'll see you on Wednesday for the college football huddle. We'll be on Friday. I think we've got my guess is still up in the air. I'll know something by tomorrow. With the one-on-one show, we'll have the Major League Baseball update on Friday. There'll be some preemption to that show coming up because I got a wedding on the 11th of October. Then we're going away for 2 weeks and a little rough. We'll talk about how we're doing all these shows when I travel. And we do find time to do it. Sometimes there's really different time frames. Keith Engle for TGI Sports Talks. Sunday Stream of Consciousness. Great to have you guys with us. And Drew will be gone for a bit as well. We won't be him. Great show. Thank you. Always a lot except the ending. I wish I had a different person as well. But it is what it is. You guys have a great Sunday. Have some fun with your football. Hope your teams win. Enjoy. Keep it go out.
National Streaming Sports is brought to you in part by BetUs.com. Designed for true fans. NFL odds, Week 1 and futures. College football odds, including Heisman Trophy favorites and playoff odds. NBA odds of division winners and playoffs. Major League Baseball playoff and World Series odds. The National Hockey League Conference playoffs and Stanley Cup odds. And boxing wagers. Betting opportunities include versus the spread and outright winners. Also, during the game. Use our link on our website, nessp.info, the Bet Us Opportunities webpage for a 125% bonus on your first 3 deposits. Must be 21 years old, and remember, bet responsibly. You're listening to Keith Engle, the host of TGI Sports Talk on the National Streaming Sports